Before we start, hit that like button and subscribe, because what I'm about to tell you is one of the wildest HOA power trip moments you'll ever hear. Imagine this. You buy lakefront property, you follow every rule, and still your HOA tries to tow your boat off your own damn water. Yeah, this story goes off the rails. The lake was quiet that morning. The kind of quiet that makes you feel like you're the only person awake in the entire world. Mist rolled over the water in slow waves as my boat, my pride, my monster of a deep water cruiser, gently tapped against the rubber bumpers on my dock. I had moved here because of the lake, not the HOA, not the neighbors. The water was my escape from everything. But that peace wouldn't last. It started with the letters. Thin paper, cold tone, the kind of mail that feels like someone spitting on your name. The HOA didn't like my boat. They called it overly large, visually disruptive, and inconsistent with community harmony. I laughed the first time I read that. Harmony. This is a lake, not a damn art museum. I ignored it, because the truth is, they had zero authority over my water rights. My parcel included the shoreline and the dock. I even owned a portion of the lake bed. But the HOA didn't care about facts. They cared about control. The complaints escalated. Emails, phone calls, even some board member named Carolyn knocking on my door saying my boat set a bad tone for the neighborhood. A bad tone? Lady, it's a boat, not a crime scene. I told her politely once to leave my property. The second time I wasn't so polite. Weeks passed. Until that morning. I woke up around 6:30 a.m., grabbed coffee, and walked out onto my deck overlooking the lake. And there, on my private dock, were three men wearing reflective vests, hooking heavy straps under my hull. For a solid 5 seconds, I thought I was still dreaming. Then reality slammed into me like a hammer. They were trying to tow my boat. Off my property. Off my lake. I sprinted down the stairs, shouting before my feet even hit the dock. Hey, what the hell are you doing? One of the workers didn't bother turning around. He just said, orders from the HOA. I felt my stomach drop, then ignite. Put that strap down right now, I yelled, stepping between them and the bowline. Another guy finally looked up at me. We're contracted. Supervisor said to remove the boat. HOA authorization. That's when I noticed Carolyn and two other board members standing on the community path by the trees, watching, like they wanted a front row seat to their little power trip. I walked straight toward them. Carolyn grinned like she just won something. Your boat violates community guidelines. We're removing it for you. I could barely breathe. Not because I was shocked, but because I was so furious that every word felt like fire in my chest. You're trespassing, I said. You hired people to trespass. This dock is private. The lakefront is private. My title includes all of it. She scoffed. The HOA president scoffed. Water is a shared community visual interest, she said. I swear that's an exact quote. Still haunts me. I pulled out my phone. Dialed immediately. Sheriff's Department, the dispatcher said. What's the emergency? I told them everything. Within 15 minutes, a county sheriff pulled up. Lights flashing. Boots thudding on the path. He walked up to Carolyn first. Were you aware that you ordered work on private property? Carolyn crossed her arms. This falls under HOA jurisdiction. The sheriff raised one eyebrow and pulled out paperwork I had emailed his office months ago. Proof of my riparian rights. He turned to her again, face like stone. Ma'am, this is not HOA property. You and your contractors need to step away immediately. The tow crew backed off instantly. They didn't want any part of this. Carolyn looked like she had been slapped sideways. This isn't over, she hissed. But she was wrong. It was just beginning. Because the sheriff walked back to me, lowered his voice and said, you know, you could file trespassing charges. Even civil damages. A smile crept across my face. That day was the last day the HOA ever set foot on my dock. But what came next was even better, because I didn't just stop them from towing my boat. I kicked their entire HOA club off the lake. For good. After the sheriff left, the HOA didn't say a word to me for a week. No emails. No calls. No letters pretending to be friendly but dripping with fake politeness. Silence. But silence from an HOA isn't peace. It's planning. I dug deeper into my property rights, pulled records, maps, old water access documents from when the lake was carved out decades ago. And there it was, clear as daylight. The HOA had absolutely zero right to use any part of my shoreline. In fact, their lake access existed only through a usage agreement made 22 years ago with the previous owner of my home. And guess what? That agreement wasn't permanent. It wasn't transferable. It didn't bind new owners. It expired the moment I bought the property, which meant every HOA kayak, every paddleboard, every group fishing event, all of it was technically trespassing. Carolyn had been using my shoreline for her stupid lake beautification meetings, without even knowing she was on private land. That's when the idea hit me. A quiet, slow-burning kind of idea. The kind that warms your chest like a campfire. So I sent a letter to the HOA. Formal, legal, undeniably clear. It said, effective immediately, all HOA access to my shoreline, dock and lake section is revoked. I included a map circling the area, a big crimson boundary line, marking the entire 600-foot stretch of lakefront that I legally owned. 2 days later, they showed up at my door. Carolyn, the treasurer, and some random dude who always wore sunglasses even indoors. Carolyn didn't wait for me to invite her in. You can't do this, she snapped. I already did, I replied. This lake is part of our community identity. This lake, I corrected her, is 38% privately owned, and my property includes one of those privately owned sectors. She looked like I had revoked her oxygen supply. You're being unreasonable, she spat. You're creating division. Oh no, I said. You created division the moment you tried to tow my boat. She demanded a meeting, a vote, a reconsideration. I told her there was nothing to vote on. Property rights aren't a democracy. They left fuming. The next day, signs went up around my shoreline. No HOA access, private property. Trespassers will be prosecuted. And you'd think that'd be enough, right? You'd think they'd back off. But not this HOA. Not that board. 2 weeks later, I woke up to screaming. HOA members, dozens of them, had gathered on the community beach, yelling at me across the water. Selfish. You're ruining the community. This is everyone's lake. It looked like a cult meeting gone wrong. One guy even tried rowing toward my dock despite the signs. So I recorded everything. Sent the videos to the sheriff. Filed official trespassing notices. And 3 board members got citations. HOA residents turned on the board instantly. Nobody wanted fines. Nobody wanted legal trouble. Nobody wanted to stand behind Carolyn anymore. And the final blow? The county sent a letter confirming that the HOA had misrepresented lake access rights for years. Residents were furious. Meetings were chaotic. People demanded resignations. By the end of the month, Carolyn was removed as HOA president. The board dissolved the lake committee, and all HOA functions on the water were permanently moved away from my entire shoreline. They weren't just banned. They were exiled. To this day, nobody from the HOA dares to step foot within 10 feet of my dock. And my boat? Still there. Still massive. Still beautiful. Every morning I sit on the deck, sip my coffee, and enjoy the lake in silence. The kind of silence that isn't planning anything. Just peace. Just water. Just mine.